Okay, it's Sunday evening. Still the Sunday before Christmas, 2019. The time is 6:53. So here's the skinny. We're on 80 meters. Still 4,000 volts on the plate. Okay, 80. I added a 1200 puff transmitting mica on the antenna side. I had a 700 puff, but just had enough capacitance with the adjustment, and I wanted a little cushion, so I put a slightly larger capacitor in there to give me a little wiggle room fore and aft on the load adjustment, which is the lower adjustment. So anyhow, get some RFI getting into the metering, and I really don't believe that the grid current meter is accurate on 80 meters. I'm pretty positive it's accurate on 40 through 10. I don't have any. Well, let me back up just a little bit. This is why. If you look at the band designation on the digital meter, and I key it, it starts to go wacko. So does my grid meter, showing 143 mils of grid current. Every band that I've tested so far, okay, if you look at the grid current on 10, 15, 20, and 40, I haven't done any of the walk bands yet, but we're looking at 25, 50, well, I haven't done 10 meters yet, but 65, they're all around 60 mils, 65 mils of grid current, and with 1500 watts out. I'm getting 1500 watts out, okay, and then some, at 800 mils, which is probably off the top of my head about 53% efficient, but 140 mils of grid current. And I don't believe that that's right, only because I'm seeing some RFI going there. If I tune it just a smidgen, I pretty much peaked up where I gotta be. So I could probably move the tap on that thing, make it a little bit more efficient. But 840 mils on the plate with 3400 volts. I'm actually down to 31, so that's pulling a little bit more. So that efficiency, it's a little less efficient on this band, but we're probably around 50% is my guess. Some quick math, which, you know what, I'm alright with that. I don't know why the grid current's so high. I'm getting the same output roughly as the other bands, but for some reason the grid current's a little bit more on 80, and I'm getting some RFI. Now that voltage meter, the switching for that meter is on a wafer switch inside the tube cavity. So I'm wondering if I'm picking up some RF there. I since just placed the lid on top of the RF deck to try to keep some of that signal out of my ears. But I'm okay with the output on 80 meters, other than the high grid current. And I have the grid current circuitry protection backed off a little bit right now, just for testing purposes. Incidentally, that does trip at 100 mils, so I'm not sure if that actually is correct or it isn't correct at this time. I'm not sure. I know that isn't correct, obviously, because when I key it, it goes back, unkey it goes to 80, key it starts to go wherever. But the grid meter, it's a little concerning. But the output is steady, and it seems to operate okay. But this band I got to drive just a little bit harder, and the input power on this is 55 watts. But some of the other bands 15 meters is 65 watts. 20 is 50. 15, let's see here. 40 meters is 40. So I guess 15 is 65 watts. That's the highest input power that I have so far. This band here is 55 watts. But nonetheless, I am getting my 1.5 gallons. But I don't know why I'm getting the grid current reading. So I'm going to have to try some toroids perhaps on the line coming out of the tube cavity. I might have to add another RF choke on the cathode wire. I don't know. I'm going to have to poke around with this a little bit. So the only band I have to check at this point is 10 meters. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to call it a night. And cost 160. I need to wire in 160, but like I said in the last video, I'm scared. So, but man, I got to tell you, the hours in front of this thing is starting to wear on me a little bit. So, worst case scenario, I'll have a 10 through 80 meter amplifier, but I really want top band. I really do. I put a lot of effort into getting my inverted L up in my Beverage in the Woods for 160, so 1500 out on 160 would be great. All these measurements are taken at the bottom of the band in the CW portion, where the most capacitance and inductance would be needed. So higher up in frequency on these particular bands should tune relatively the same or a little bit easier. So anyhow, that's all. Thanks for letting me bore you for another 3 or 4 minutes. Feliz Navidad.